What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are installing an air intake on the Audi RS3. Now I have been waiting for this kit since we bought the car, AWE's full air intake. Now their kit is super crazy. It is insanely configurable. You can order this in many different versions. So here is the full air intake. I've gone with the full kit with the nice carbon fiber sealed box and duct. You have your different pipes, and again, the carbon is super nice. And then this is the front portion with the air filter. Now I'm gonna have all of this linked down below in the description of this video where you can order this for your Audi RS3. And again, as you're gonna see in this video, you can order different parts of it. So that is a super cool way that AWE has designed this kit, but check out the link in the description below. And as we go through this installation, I'm gonna install it piece by piece to show you how configurable this kit is. So to start off the project, we're just gonna go ahead and pop off the engine cover and then just take a flathead and we're gonna remove this one clamp up above. And then with some channel locks, we can open up this clamp, pull it back a little bit, and then we're just gonna take a bolt off of the backside of this air intake pipe. And then with that bolt off, you can easily slide this whole tube right off the car. And then the first pipe we're gonna work with is this one right here. And you can order this specific pipe standalone. It will include this coupler and a second coupler to connect this to your stock airbox. And this will basically sit right in there, giving you a carbon fiber air intake tube with everything else in the stock configuration. So we're gonna start this installation by taking the non-striped side and just slowly slide on this coupler. It will slide on all the way until it butts up nice and flush. Now the best way to transfer this clamp over to the new pipe, since this gets way smaller than the way it is clamped, go ahead and leave it on like I've shown. We're gonna pull it all the way back and very quickly go ahead and just slide it right over. And then holding it all together, I'm gonna slowly slide that coupler onto the turbo. And once that's on, I can slowly kind of rock this back and forth to get this stock clamp perfectly on. So that is all installed. I tighten up the clamp to the tube. And then you're gonna notice that this is where there's gonna be an extra coupler that the kit will come with if you order just this pipe standalone. And then lastly, we're just gonna take this breather hose, reinstall that. So that is version 1, just having the carbon air intake tube with everything else stock. As far as sounds and intake temperatures go, intake temps will obviously be exactly the same as stock. However, engine tone is gonna be a little bit deeper, having that massive over 4-inch diameter carbon fiber tube versus a much smaller thick plastic tube. So to move on to the Shorty intake, which is basically gonna be the elbow along with the air filter, now you need to start considering your car's year. So I have the diverter valve kit, which is an option you can tick when you're ordering this intake. And what you need to be mindful of is this recirculation pipe right here. Notice on my car, this is a plastic corrugated pipe. If you have a factory silicone pipe of some sorts, you don't need to worry about this kit at all. If you have the plastic one, you're gonna need to tick this box if you order the Shorty and any other kit. And again, that upper pipe, you don't need to worry about anything since it is simply just replacing the pipe up above. So to do the Shorty version, of course, I've already put the stock pipe back on just to show you this specific configuration. We're now going to work on this inner clamp for this rubber pipe up here. And with that one loose, we're gonna move on to these two bolts right here. And then from here, we can simply pop the rubber pipe off your stock air intake tube and then pop that one off. And this is gonna be sitting in here with some rubber grommets. We gotta pop this little sensor off the front and then you can pull the whole airbox out. Next up, we're gonna remove the stock corrugated pipe. You might need a bit of an extension just to help you a little bit. And we can get these same bolts out that held it into the air intake. And then you're going to install it right where you just took off of that stock pipe, and it's gonna fit nice and secure as expected. So from the S-Flow intake tube now to the S-Flow Shorty intake kit, there's gonna be a bit more work to do. So as you can tell, this is that elbow, and this is that fitting that's gonna connect to that new diverter valve we just installed. And again, if you have an older RS3, your car might already have a silicone pipe that'll just butt up to this perfectly. So what we're gonna do first, you're gonna have your stock airbox that you just took out. You're gonna need to get the 3 rubber grommets out from underneath the bottom. This is where it kind of popped into place for the underside. And these are going to be installed from the underside. This is the configuration that's going to sit. And then you're going to take the intake pipe, and these 3 holes are all going to line up with the carbon fiber bracket, and we're just simply going to attach them to every single hole. Lastly, we're just going to take the air filter along with the large clamp, and we're going to gently slide this onto the carbon tube. And then simply, we're just going to line this up to the factory rubber grommets. This is going to get secured into place. And then, of course, we can get this new silicone tube installed as well. And then it's going to have a silicone coupler that's going to connect it to your factory tube. It's going to be the same coupler that the upper pipe will come with to connect to the factory airbox. So again, I don't have that specific coupler since I have the whole kit, but at least now you know how to install just the pipe or just the shorty. Now we're going to do what we already did earlier in the video, which is just pop off the factory pipe once again and connect the carbon fiber pipe. So there is configuration number 3, which is the full intake open style. As you can tell, we still have the factory duct, which will still push some cool air towards the air filter, but we have the open design. And then of course we have the carbon design all throughout it. So we've seen the single pipe, the shorty, and now the open. But from here, let's go ahead and listen to the stock sound configuration along with seeing what the air intake temperatures are. And then now we're gonna do the exact same thing with this kit with the open filter to see if there's any extra warmer intake temps or not. So with the stock airbox, looks like after everything's warmed up, driving for a little bit, ambient air temperature is around 71. Intake temps are closing in on about 100, depending on if we're just kind of coasting or if we're accelerating a little bit. So I'd say stock airbox roughly going to give you about a 30-degree over ambient temperature. All right, so now with the open full air intake system, it looks like our intake temps are pretty similar to what we saw before. We're at similar ambient air temp, a little over 70, and we're still keeping it under 100. So kind of the similar 30-ish degree over ambient. So back home after doing the testing now with the AWE kit, obviously I pre-filmed the ones with the stock intake. How I just filmed what you saw, the microphone that I have clipped to my shirt, I actually clipped underneath the engine compartment, and then with the suction cups mounted on the windshield, I had the camera I'm holding right now sitting there, and then the GoPro was on my head for the interior sound clips. So basically the POV style clips you just saw were from the audio inside, and then the camera on the hood was filming the road with the microphone located right in here. Hopefully you can still hear me, but that was a really good position for the mic to hear the engine and intake sounds without any crazy distortion. And from the intake temperature test, I'm not even gonna do it with the airbox on just because we didn't even see anything crazy as far as intake temps with the open filter. Now, a lot of people will comment when you do a cold air intake or some sort of aftermarket intake and say, you know, if you got an open filter, it's a hot air intake, defeating the purpose of an air intake on a car. For a naturally aspirated engine, that's a good point. Yeah, you're sucking in hotter air, probably not the best idea. You want a closed system. For a turbocharged engine, the intercooler is going to be cooling down that charged air. And if the intercooler is very efficient, which clearly the RS3 stock intercooler is exceptionally efficient, with an open filter, you're not seeing anything different for air intake temperatures. With that said though, we're gonna still install the full airbox. That way you guys can see what it all looks like. And that still is going to give you the best chances of the coolest temperatures depending on the climate you live in. So it is now on to the air intake duct. So as you can tell, we have this huge snorkel design airbox all in one. We have a small mesh piece on the one corner, and then the rest of it all goes to the front where it's gonna be pulling air from the front area like in the stock configuration. So to go ahead and remove it, you're just gonna take a T25 and get the screw on each side off, and then this whole duct just pops forward and out, and there we go. So to get the air intake box on, I'm gonna try to see if I can do this without really removing much. I'm just going to pop these 3 tabs back out just to give me a little bit of wiggle room with the air filter, and then I'll just try to slide this in to the air filter itself. All right, that's actually working. Well, nice to see that actually worked, just wiggling everything in. And I've gone ahead and got the aluminum plate back into those rubber grommets, and now I can pop on the diverter valve hose once again. And then from here, you're simply gonna take more of the hardware that this kit is going to include, and we're gonna now screw the air box onto the air filter section by just inserting everything and getting it all squared away. And then lastly, you're gonna have 2 more screws with the kit as well as a washer, and that is gonna be for the screw right here with the factory hole. Kinda gotta hold this a little tight to get it in there. Worst case, you could drill out this plastic hole just a tad more, but you're just gonna have to give it a little bit of pressure as you pull it to get those in, or you could leave it, not really too big of a deal. But with that said, that is now the full air intake all installed. So we have the duct going to the front, that mesh piece is right here, and then you can see it all screwed together in the back nice and tight, and the bracket is all secure where it belongs. All right, so we have wrapped up installing AWE's S-Flow full carbon fiber air intake on the Audi RS3. Again, this fits all of the RS3 models, 8Y and 8V. That diverter valve, the corrugated pipe or the rubber pipe, whatever your car has, that's the only difference between the 2 cars. But as you can tell, with the full intake in, that thing looks so good with all of the carbon fiber. It looks honestly like an OEM item. The carbon looks fantastic. I mean, that just looks amazing. Every single part of the stock intake has been replaced. There's that one screw also for the tab down there. If you can reach, you can reinstall that. But that just looks so good. It fits perfectly. And I am excited to have this AWE kit on my wife's RS3. And if you remember, we have AWE's full exhaust. We have their SwitchPath. That way, when we turn the valve on, you got the insane sounds coming out of those tailpipes. So AWE is the way to go for sure. They have some awesome products, and I love how configurable this is. If you don't want to go crazy, get this whole kit, which does come in a pretty big box, but you can just get the pipe back here if you want a little bit deeper engine sound and that carbon, or you can just get the open Shorty if you want the turbo whoosh noises, all that good stuff without breaking the bank. Or of course, you can do the full open kit, which doesn't seem to really hinder intake temps. Or if you want the top of the line kit, you have the full closed intake to perfectly give you the temps. Still gonna get all the sound since the carbon resonates, and you have so much carbon under the hood. That just looks so good. And one more thing to add, AWE is in the USA. These are all built here in the USA, which is super cool to know. And we've used AWE products on a lot of our cars. Type R, I have their full exhaust system. My brother's Tacoma, as you guys have seen, now has the AWE exhaust as well, and we've used their kits on the Supras and plenty other cars. So always been happy with AWE products, USA built, which is fantastic. And if you're interested in ordering this, check out the links down below to our website where you can pick up this for your own RS3 or TT-RS. And again, if you have any questions on which specific version you're looking for, what you're gonna need, just send us a message. And then as far as the stock sound versus this sound, from the interior, you can hear the blow-off noise, the whoosh noise, the engine's a little bit deeper. So you have a nice subtle increase in all the turbo sounds. Underneath the hood, you can clearly tell even the stock intake actually makes some sounds. Can't hear that on the interior, but under the hood you can. And then with a full intake, you get to hear all the fun sounds from the interior as well. Of course, with our AW exhaust, you hear a lot of the exhaust on this specific car. But nonetheless, this thing is sitting good, looking good, sounding good, and performing perfectly as expected. So that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for plenty more content. Check out the links below to get this super configurable AWE kit for your car, and I'll see you all in the next video.